All right. So the whole thing is, first of all, scoliosis, according to the medical people, is a sideways curve of your spine, and that's baloney. It's not. It's a three-dimensional twisting. All right. So all this, they have mirror image adjusting where they take a picture of your spine, and if it's off to the left, they push it to the right, and all this other stuff. All right. And it's baloney because it's three-dimensional and it doesn't work out. And that's why it only works out if you get lucky that way. All right. Now, the other thing is, if you look at most people who have scoliosis, not all of them, most of them, if you take a side view x-ray and you look at the sacrum and L5, the last vertebrae is called lumbar 5, okay? There's supposed to be, you guys can see my video, right?
Yeah.
All right, hang on. Let me see. Hang on. All right. So here, I need um all right. So I just said it so I can see my own video so I can make sure you guys can see this. So if you look at this from a side view, all right, there's supposed to be an angle between your sacrum and L5 that's supposed to be about 20 degrees. Okay? Most people who have scoliosis have this thing flattened out to something in the single digits. All right? Which means your entire body is pitched forward at L5. Now, you don't want to walk around all bent over like this, so you lean backward. The problem is in the lumbar spine, the spinuses, the things that stick out in the back that you could feel on your back, a lump.
Hmm.
Spinuses are about the size of your thumb and they're about this close. So at L5 in the sacrum, there's room for that angle. Okay? Above that, between L4 and L5, there's no room for that angle. And between L4 and L3, there's no room for that angle. And between L2 and L3, there's beginning to be some room, but not much room for that angle. And then above L1, you have a little bit more room, and that's what people typically think of as the spinous as being this far apart and having room. So, in order not to be pitched over forward, you lean backward.
Is
Now, when you
everybody
lean
frozen?
backward, those spinuses jam together, and that hurts. You don't want to hurt. So, what you do is you twist to the side. All right. And there's actually a video that I have on YouTube about this. I don't know where it is. I'd have to go look for it. I did it years ago it was at one of my conventions for ABC. Um, but what it is, the spine twists off to the side, and if you look at the front view, you could see L5 is usually a little bit twisted toward the curve, and L4 is a lot twisted toward the curve. And the reason for that is that your body, you're
Okay.
going to one side and then you lean so far to the other side, it drags out. See, if it, let's say L5 goes forward and to the left, all right? Well, L4 is going to go backward and to the right to not jam that together. And it leans so far to the right, it drags the whole thing over to the side. So L5 looks like it's going right, but it's really going left, and then there's a big curve to the right. You guys understand that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So then you have people who wear a brace. All right. So actually, before we get
That's
to the
been our
brace,
topic this evening. Yes, we'd like to hear what you have to say about braces.
all right. So before we get to the brace, okay. So what you have is you have uh, this hypothetical a tilt to the left and then a tilt to the right that's so far to the right it drags everything to the right. Okay? And then that leans to the right as part of a compensation and it leans too far to the right. Now remember we're talking about a three-dimensional twist. All right? The left and right is easier to talk about than the three-dimensional. That twists off to the right and then you end up too far. You end up like this and you don't want to be like that. So above that you twist to the left. and that's the people who have an scoliosis. All right. Now, it doesn't matter whether you do the top curve or the bottom curve. Any curve above where L5 is going to be pushing against the compensation. And so when you take the brace off, your body's going to push farther to that side because it's been pushing to that side to maintain its compensation. All right. The real problem is not left to right. The real problem is forward. Okay. And that's why medical people are nowhere with scoliosis, because the real problem is forward, not left to right. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, let's talk about bones out of place. All right. You guys have all been to a
I
chiropractor?
just want to know, is the same all true for like lumbar scoliosis?
It's it's
I
basically
mean,
the
if you
same
don't have an
mechanism
S, if you just
everywhere,
have
and
a C.
unless there's a bony change, unless the bone shape is changed, it's the same basic mechanism. All right, not 100%, and the degree varies and things like that, but this is the major mechanism you're going to find. Okay, you could take a thousand X-rays of people with the scoliosis. If you look at the side view, almost all of them, and I can't give you a number. I haven't got a statistic. But almost all of them are going to have that L5S1 angle, which is called the lumbosacral disc angle, is going to be less than 10. All right, which means your body is pitched forward somewhere between 10 and 15 degrees, which is actually quite a bit weight wise, especially if it's at the bottom. All right.
Mhm.
Okay. So you have that. And the real problem is forward, not left and right. Okay. Now, you guys know about chiropractic? You've been to chiropractors?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
All right. So the whole thing with chiropractors is there's a bone out of place and they're going to push it back into a better place.
Mhm.
Okay. They found that that didn't work out according to their theories and all this. They would have a curve to the left. They would treat the person and they'd say, okay, the curve is going to be better. And they take an x ray and the curve was bigger to the left. All right. So that didn't fit with their theory. So they abandoned the bone out of place thing and started talking about nerve stuff. Instead of saying, well, it works, but we don't understand it yet, they just abandoned the whole thing and said it's some nerve stuff and blah blah blah, and they went to the body has innate intelligence and knows what it's doing, which frankly, if the body had innate intelligence and knew what it was doing, you wouldn't have the problem you have to begin with. All right, it's circular illogic. Okay, it never works. And I have an engineering background. It's not a school taught; it's a self taught. Okay, I went to Purdue. I used to do everybody's engineering homework when I was a freshman. I was in a pre-med program. It's a whole story. But the put it this way. If you tried to build the building you're in with the mechanics they teach in chiropractic school, you would be sitting in a pile of rubble. Okay? You couldn't even build a roof over your head. Okay? And that became very apparent my second semester, in actually my second year in chiropractic school when they started talking about all this stuff. And there's a whole bunch of stories I could tell you about that, but that's not the issue. The issue is bones out of place is true. Okay. Now, until I came along, and this sounds arrogant because I'm talking about me, until I came along, nobody realized you could divide bones out of place into two categories that matter and only two. One is bones that go out of place that your body just self corrects because it's got muscles that pull in the direction needed to fix it. Okay? Then there's bones out of place in a direction your body cannot self correct because there's no muscle or combination of muscles that can pull in the direction needed to pull them back into place. All right? So let's take your spine just because it's easy to talk about. This happens in your feet, it happens in your legs, it happens in a lot of different places. All right? But the spine's easy to talk about because people can relate to that and they understand the mechanics in this type of setting. All right? So if you look at your spine, if one of the bones in your spine goes to the left or to the right, you've got muscles that attach to the ribs and things. You can pull it back into place. All right? If it tilts left or right or it rotates left or right, same thing. You got muscles, you can pull that back into place. All right. If one of the bones goes backward in the spine, you've got muscles in the front of the vertebrae that attach to the back of your ribs, like the diaphragm and some other muscles. And so you can pull those forward. And then down below, you've got the psoas, which attaches to the lower vertebrae and goes through your pelvis and attaches to your legs. You can't stand up without pulling all that forward. Okay? All right. So if the bone goes left or right, or it goes backward, you can correct it. Now, if you think about it, if one of the bones in your spine goes forward, what do you have behind your spine that can pull that way, that can pull backward? What do you think?
Nothing.
That's right, nothing. There's nothing that attaches from the vertebrae to something behind the vertebrae. Okay, all you have back there is skin. Now you have chiropractors who say, oh, you just lean backward and it'll fix. And it's the stupidest thing you ever heard because it assumes the lower vertebrae is stable. And all you have to do is take an x-ray or a set of x-rays, and you see when you go back like this, both of the vertebrae move and they come back to the same position. All right, unless you go back too far, then it pushes it further forward by leverage. Okay, so if a vertebra goes forward, you have no way to correct it. If my body goes funky, I can't fix me. All right, I know exactly what to do, but I can't do it because I have a body just like yours. When bones go out of place in a direction the body can't self-correct, I by definition can't correct it. Okay? All right. So that's that.
Recording in progress.
All right. So
Heather, sorry you missed that earlier few minutes.
Me too.
that's all right. I recorded it and I could send you the recording. All right.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Okay. So now you have bones out of place in a direction the body cannot self-correct. And you have a whole bunch of bones that are out of place in a direction the body can self-correct, but then the body does not self-correct it. Okay? And the question is, why doesn't the body correct the bones that are out of place that it can self-correct? And without the information, without the datum that bones are out of place in a direction your body can't self-correct, this becomes incomprehensible. And they say you have weak muscles and weak nerves, and they got a million excuses. But none of them are true because you can exercise, there's electric muscle stimulators, there's nerve stimulators, there's all these things that can make up for it, and they never work. So the reason you have bones out of place in a direction the body can self-correct, but the body doesn't correct it, is because those bones are out of place as part of the compensation pattern. Okay? And, a lot of people make the mistake and say, well, those bones are out of place compensating for the ones that are out of place that your body can not self-correct. And the answer is not really. Some of them are. They're out of place compensating for the ones that the body can't self-correct. And other ones are just part of the pattern that is created as they go out of place. Right? So the simplified version is a vertebra goes forward, and it's not just your vertebra, it's other places in your body. But the easiest thing to talk about is the spine because people understand it. So a vertebra goes forward, now, and they don't go forward. They go forward and left, forward and right, forward and lean. They go forward and something. And they might go forward and. It's a three-dimensional twist, all right? So they go forward, okay? Now, you don't have any muscles that can pull backward to replace it, but you do have muscles that can pull in other directions. So you twist it, you turn it, you tilt it, you do whatever you can to try and compensate for that. And in people that have a noticeable big scoliosis, that's what happens, and it's very noticeable. A lot of people that they say don't have a scoliosis, same thing, it's just the curves are more twisted. All right? Now you can think about this like a rubber band twisted up. Okay? If you twist up a rubber band, it twists and it makes all these funky bends, right? But if you pull it straight, those bends straighten out. But there's more tension, there's more mechanical tension in the system. And that's what's happening with people who don't have a scoliosis and you look at the x-ray and one bone's this way and one bone's this way, and then, all right? So that's what happens. Now, your
Oh, wait a
spine,
minute. And so you're saying at that point that then they can pull it,
hang on, I'm
and
about to
that will,
get there. I'm
okay.
about to get there, all right? So what a lot of medical people don't understand, and this is medical research, the guy's name was Alf Breg. He was a neurosurgeon in Sweden, and he wrote a book called Adverse Mechanical Tension in the Central Nervous System, which is actually a mechanical engineering book even more than a neurological book. But he didn't know it, right? He didn't know about manipulation and all this other stuff, but he laid out what's there. But the spinal cord, the brain, and the meninges, the coverings of the spinal cord and brain, they act like a big rubber band from your tailbone up around your spine, up through the bottom of your skull, and around your head. And it's like a big rubber band. The front part of the meninges is thickest. The back part is next thick. The sides are about half as thick as the front and back. And between them, it's very thin. So you can actually think about them as 4 rubber bands. All right? Now, the inside layer of the meninges is called the pia. It's just a thin layer around your spinal cord. The outside layer is called the dura. All right, the dura mater, which is very durable. All right, it's literally like rubber. Okay, if you take a dead person and you take that, actually you don't even need to do that. Grab a chicken neck, all right, and take the bones off and try and pull apart the spinal cord. I don't know if you've ever done that, but it's pretty tough to pull that apart, and that's because that dura mater is very tough. And a lot of people say, well, you think you have rubber in your body? And I have to remind them that rubber is from trees. It's the sap from rubber, those little rubber trees you have in your house. Well, I've been to Malaysia to the rubber plantations. We did a tour. It's a whole story. But those things are huge, and they're big trees, just like the big trees you have in any forest, right? And just like maple syrup, they take the sap out of it and they cook it, and you have rubber, okay? So that's what's going on inside your body. So you have this big spring-loaded column of bones, and they're not a stack of bones. They are a lever system, all right? A very sophisticated lever system. You know how they say heels are no good for you? Biggest lie in the world, okay? Any one of you could stand up right now and put something that's about a half inch or maybe an inch there and put your heels on it, and you'll notice your body actually straightens up, your shoulders come back, you breathe better, and everything else, right? Your body is a lever system, all right? Now, so we have bones out of place in a direction the body cannot self-correct. We have bones out of place in a direction the body can self-correct but doesn't, and lots of other stuff, all right? So, how do you fix it? Well, the way you fix it is you find the bones that are out of place that the body cannot self-correct that you can find on any one day, and you're not finding all of them, believe me, all right? And then you correct the position, all right, by pushing them backward. I mean, in the spine, it's backward. Like at the fibular head, you have to push it backward. In the feet, you have to push up, all right? And the ribs, it's a whole body thing. It's not a spine thing. It's a whole body thing, all right? But you find the things that are out of place that the body cannot self-correct because there's no muscle pulling in the direction needed or combination of muscles pulling in the direction needed. And you correct that the best you can. All right?
Yes, can I ask, when you're correcting, do you worry about someone who might have osteoporosis?
Nah, you don't have to worry about that. The biggest problem with osteoporosis is people feel so well after getting treated with ABC. They go home, especially women. Guys, it doesn't happen as much, but especially women, they go home and they decide, oh, good, I can clean my house now. And they lift up a couch or they lift up a mattress or something like that, and they create a compression fracture in their spine. All right. I had that happen to about 2 people in the 1980s. In the 1980s. And ever since then, I always warn people, just because you feel better doesn't mean your bones are stronger.
Right.
All right. Now, you have osteoporosis?
I do.
All right. What should you do to get out of having osteoporosis?
Lift weights
Exactly. How much weight?
gradually, a little bit at a time.
No, that's a bunch of hooey. All right. The research is you need to lift 4.2 times your body weight for at least 10 or 20 seconds, at least once a week.
How am I not going to get a compression fracture when I do that?
You're not going to get a, well, you're not going to get a compression fracture when you do that. There's actually a
400 pounds?
there's actually a franchise out there called OsteoStrong, and they have all this research, and you sign up and you go there, and you could do this on your own. You don't need them, but they have 3 machines. All right, one is a machine you do like a squat type thing where you're pushing again, and it's all pressure plates. They don't have weights; they just have pressure plates. All right, it's isometric action. Okay, that's why you don't have to worry about getting a compression fracture. It's isometric. All right, isometric means no movement. All right, they get you there, they get you in the right position, and you push as hard as you can. All right,
What was the name of that place?
OsteoStrong. All right,
Thank you.
and they have a leg machine, they have a body machine, and I believe they have an arm machine. They have 3 machines, and you're in there. Your total workout. You warm up, which takes 10 minutes or whatever, and then the entire workout is you press on these machines as hard as you can for 10 seconds. Wait a minute, and press on it for 10 seconds again. Then you move to the next machine. Same thing, 10 seconds, wait a minute, 10 seconds. Third machine, 10 seconds, wait a minute, 10 seconds. And that's your whole workout. The average person, as far as the statistics they gave me, all right, and they don't lie, they're too easy to check. But the average person, they do a bone density, they take an x-ray and they do a bone density thing. The average person after 6 months has got an increase in bone density of about 5 or 10%.
Wow.
Okay, which is hot stuff. Now, all the medications they have that say, take this and it increases your bone density? They don't do a darn thing. You know how they get away with it?
How?
On the label, if you read the label on these things, it says if you take this medicine with a program of weight-bearing exercise, you will get bone growth. The answer is, if you look at the statistics, the bone growth is the same whether you take the medicine or not, as long as you have heavy weightlifting.
Yeah, that's great.
All right.
Yes.
If you want to know what you should do, the easiest way to do this, or the least costly way to do this, probably, is if you get Pete Cisco, Cisco, Pete Cisco, and you get it's static contraction. All right, he's got I think it's a $29 ebook, and it tells you all this stuff. Now he deals with muscles,
Okay.
all right, but it's the same thing. You're pushing as hard as you can against the pressure plate. If you want to do it in the gym, if you're doing a workout, you set up on the bench press. Your arms are almost all the way extended. They're about 2 inches down. You put so much weight on the bar you can't lift it, and you push like crazy as hard as you can for 10 seconds. Wait, push like crazy as hard as you can for 10 seconds. All right. Then you do the same thing with a squat machine. All right. Or if you're going to use, and if you use a leg machine, you put so much weight on it you can't push. All right. If you do that, both your muscles and your bones will get immensely stronger over time.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank
More
you.
than anybody ever believes. Okay. All this research, the bone
What
research.
kind of time are you talking about?
What?
What kind of time are you talking about? You
10
said over
seconds.
time.
Wait a minute.
No, you said over time it will strengthen. Now you said
Oh, well, I
6
said
months,
over
a year,
6
5 years.
months. Over 6 months, the average that I know that where they measure the bone density, it's up between 5 and 10%, which is quite a bit.
What about doing a plank? Would that
Not enough weight. I
Not
mean,
enough weight.
it'll help and it'll work, But the research is you have to push about 4.2 times your weight.
Oh, okay.
Now, if
Right.
you're fat, all right, like I am, it's not 4.2 times my weight. Okay, it's 4.2 times my weight if I wasn't so fat.
Right.
All
You're
right,
normal,
so
what you
I'm
do
about
normally.
I'm about 5'5", 5'6", and so my ideal weight's like about 160, maybe 150, somewhere in there. All right, so I've got to push at least 600 pounds worth of weight, and
Wow.
it's not
Oh,
that hard. You'd be very pleasantly surprised that if you really exert yourself, it's not that hard at all. Okay, the last time I measured it, when I was pushing, when I was working out, and I haven't worked out in years. But the last time I was on the machine, I was pushing with my legs about 1,600 pounds. Okay, 1,678. I think the you push against the pressure plate, right? You
right.
know how that works,
Yeah.
right? You know how like when they have a truck stop. You know how they weigh the trucks. If you put electricity through a metal bar, okay, as you put weight on it, it changes the path, it changes the resistance of the electricity, and they just calibrate that. And so those scales are just a pressure plate with a big metal bar across it and electricity running through it, and they've calibrated, the electrical change for how much weight, and that's how they do that. So they actually have, if you go to peakfitpro.com, they actually have one of these machines. I believe it's about $7,000 or so. Okay. And I have two of them. Not the Peak Fit Pro machine, but the guys who originally developed it before the guys who are doing Peak Fit Pro now. And I was in on the development, and it's a whole story. Okay. But I have the not the original one. I have the second version and the third version. Okay. But the Peak Fit Pro thing, I mean, if you think about all the time and effort and everything else, $7,000 is not a whole lot of money. All right. And you're using this thing once a week for all of 10 minutes, but you'll be
I
healthier than you can imagine. All right.
have a question.
Yes.
Have you had any experience or read of or whatever input that doing exercises, you know, this sort, and inflammation?
None of that works. Okay.
What do you mean? What do you mean none of it works? I'm actually saying causes inflammation.
None of it works. None, it doesn't cause inflammation. None of that stuff is true. All right. What causes inflammation is bones go out of place and things start running. See, think about this. All right. You have a framework. Okay. And the muscles and everything and the organs, they're all designed to be in this framework. And when it starts going cockeyed, the blood vessels get pushed on and the blood flow stops. And this is all, Bregg's got it and other people have it. That's what happens. All right. You get your body corrected. And if you look on my website, it's you can go to abcmiracles.com and take a look. You'll see a lot of pictures of before and afters where people are slumped over and then they're standing straighter. And a lot of those pictures are the people in the same clothing. And that's before and after their first treatment. All right. You know the whole thing about you have to exercise to have good posture? That's another thing that's baloney. Okay.
You have to have a book on your head.
Nope.
That's what my mother always said.
I understand. But that was a way to get you to hold yourself in a proper balance.
That's right.
All right.
Exactly.
But if you go on abcmiracles.com, all right, and it'll take you to meningerelease.com, which is same. It's a website. There's a thing there where you can learn the first rib maneuver, and you do it. It's hard to do it to yourself because you don't really have the leverage. But if you do it to other people or you have it done to you, immediately your shoulders will not slump forward and you'll be more upright. All right, and you'll know that as far as that goes, I'm not full of baloney like other people. All right. And you'll have if you take pictures, side view pictures, and front view pictures of your body before and after, all right, you'll have reality on the fact that if you get the entire ABC protocol done, your body will stay upright all by itself with no effort. All right. Now, when that happens, or when that starts happening, the blood flow increases and all this other stuff, and the inflammation goes away. I can't tell you how many women have come into me and other ABC practitioners. It's the time of their period, and they're all puffy and swollen. They get treated, and they're standing there looking in the mirror going, is it my imagination or is my face not puffy? And the answer is no, it's not your imagination. So all that inflammation stuff happens because your body gets twisted up and the fluids don't flow. When your body's straightened out, the fluids flow. All right, that's like all the things about adhesions between the muscles and everything else like that. Well, I used to do when I started in chiropractic and got out of school, and I used to do all this, the grostic and the soft tissue, and I used to do all that stuff. And then I figured out the ABC principles, and I wasn't the originator. There's a guy who figured out, he was an engineer actually working with a chiropractor who started this whole thing. One guy was a chiropractor, one guy was an engineer, and they got together and they did a bunch of stuff. And I came along and I had both backgrounds, and I finished it because I understood the connections better, right? Anyway, but I used to do all this stuff, and then I started doing the ABC stuff, okay, which at that time was called spinal column stressology, the other guy's thing. And what happened is, after several months of people, they would come in and I would do this whole soft tissue diagnostic protocol they have. And I would treat them for several months. And once I started the ABC stuff, I got very busy because it works that much better. And I didn't have time to do all this soft tissue stuff with people. But I found out that after a couple months, all the soft tissue problems disappeared. And what happens is the soft tissue problems occur because your body's twisted up and the muscles get twisted and all this other stuff I'm talking about. And it develops adhesions and all that. Well, once you straighten out, your muscles are constantly on stretch the way they're supposed to be. And when things work the way they're supposed to be, you don't get all these adhesions and everything else. And
Can you describe, is there some way to describe the corrections that you do? I mean, like when Pierre puts me up against the wall, or if I'm laying on, the meningeal release, if you could, those two.
Okay, so what happens is, remember I talked about the meninges, and you have the inside layer against the spinal cord, and the dura is against the spinal column, and between that they have a thing they call the arachnoid layer. And they call it the arachnoid layer because it's like a spider web. All right? And when the vertebrae go out of place and your spine starts to twist, that whole thing gets mushed. Pardon this big medical term, okay? All right? And it starts to grow together. All right? If you tape your fingers together, okay, the epidermis eventually turns white and sloughs off. And then if you leave it there long enough, your fingers grow together. If it's live skin, it grows together. Okay? All right? Well, same thing happens inside your spine. That stuff gets mushed and it grows, and there's a zillion places you could see adhesions. I call them meningeal adhesions, but if you look on the internet, perineural adhesions. Peri means around. All right? Perineural is around the nerves. Okay? So there's all these adhesions, and if you do it exactly right, you can stretch these things apart. And it doesn't hurt. And the reason it doesn't hurt is there's no nerves in the meninges, right? You ever see somebody that have a scar or something like that? And some scars are hypersensitive because the nerves are in there and it doesn't work right. But other people, they're putting pins, right? You guys are all women, so maybe not as much. But in high school, there was always some guy who had a scar and he was putting pins in there, or he'd take a razor blade and cut it. And it's like, I can't feel a thing, all right? Well, that's inside your meninges. There's no nerves, so you don't feel it being pulled apart. But if you do it exactly right, and Cindy will tell you, Pierre does it very well, all you feel is this big gigantic stretch, which scares the daylights out of you, but nothing ever bad happens unless you do it wrong. Okay. And then all of a sudden, these vertebrae that are stuck together because of the adhesions come apart and they can now move. And so what you do is, and a lot of, I always laugh at chiropractors. I like ABC because it's a meningeal method. All right. The meninges, it's very nice, but the only thing they do is keep the vertebrae stuck. The key is the vertebrae are out of place in a direction the body can't self-correct, and they get stuck there by the meningeal adhesions that develop around them. So once you pull that apart, and meningeal adhesions occur at compensation points too, so you need to pull those apart. But once you pull the meningeal adhesions apart, you put the person back against the wall. You find something that's forward, all right, and that's a whole story. And you put your hand on the vertebrae below it, okay? And then you push. You have to get exactly the right angle. You push, and these things go back in place. And as Cindy will tell you, people just pop up. All right, we did, what was that guy's name? Peter?
Oh, Peter, yes. I was
Yeah,
there. I was there when you did him.
Cindy, we did this guy Peter the other day. Pierre Grimaud was in Ithaca, New York. And the guy went from, he was stuck forward like this
Yeah.
and bent forward.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, by the time we ended, he was almost not bent forward at all. And he went from being this far to only this far. And as Pierre treats him and the meningeal adhesions come apart and those go into better places, he'll straighten up pretty much. Now, the body unwinds like a big spring. Remember I said it was like a twisted up rubber band? Well, it unwinds like a rubber band too. And every once in a while, somebody comes along and says, well, it can't be like a rubber band because it doesn't go in 360 degrees. It doesn't go all the way around. And the answer is it does, but it does it differently than a rubber band. Your body twists as far as it can twist, and then the joints in your spine lock, and your body kinks over to the side and then continues to twist in the other direction. So the mechanical force goes in 360 degrees, even though the bones don't. Okay?
Yep.
It creates a kink, and that's why you have, if you take x-rays, you see all these kinks in the spine where you have a scoliosis, which is this big curve, and inside the curve you have one bone this way and one bone this way and one bone this way and one bone. Well, each one of those, one bone this way and one bone that way, each one of those is another three-dimensional curve inside the curve. So when you consider it, it's like you take the rubber band and you twist it up as much as you can, and then you keep twisting, and then the rubber band doubles and triples on itself. And that happens in the spine. All right? Now, the easiest way to explain it is when one of these bones goes forward, you can't pull it back. But you do have muscles that can pull in other directions. So you twist it, you turn it, you tilt it, you do something to try and stabilize it. All right? Now, if you think about it, that creates another misalignment. And then somewhere else, you have to compensate for that. And it's not somewhere else, it's somewheres, plural. Because, you don't have a bone out of place and a compensation. You have a bone out of place in a direction the body can't self-correct and an entire pattern throughout your body. All right? And if you take the ABC course, and anybody can learn how to, chiropractors have this big thing about you have to be trained. They're all full of baloney. All right. The thing chiropractors, the thing that makes them a doctor is they learn all this diagnostic stuff and everything else. And the truth is, doing manipulation is not going to fix cancer. It's not going to fix infections. It's not going to fix diabetes and things like that. Right? We'll fix a lot of heart problems because that's got to do more with chest shape than anything else. And that's actually medical research. If you look at straight back syndrome from the 60s and things like that, it's all been researched. They just never knew how to change the chest shape. All right? Well, you can shake your head and say how bad it is, but if they don't know how to change the chest shape, if you know the chest shape is causing a problem and you don't know how to change the chest shape, you can't do anything about it. But with ABC, if you just learn that first rib maneuver, immediately your chest shape will start to change. And we have people who have COPD. They're all blue around the lips and everything else, like the fingers. You do the first rib maneuver on them, and all of a sudden they start to pink up. You do the entire protocol on them, and it disappears in 2 to 3 visits. It blows medical people away. All right? They're astonished by it, but they're not interested in learning it. I had a cardiologist who, um, it's a whole story, but I did the first rib maneuver to him on a plane while we were sitting. He asked me about what I did and all this, and I did it to him, and his body popped up, and his face turned pretty red. You can, when you get it done, you can usually feel your face flush because your heart's in there and you're collapsed, and your heart might be pumping fine, but it can't open up because you're collapsed. And then you get the first rib maneuver, or you get more of ABC, and your chest pops up, and all of a sudden your heart can pump more. And people don't realize if your heart can pump 1 ounce more blood, and remember, 1 ounce is what, 2.5 tablespoons, right? Not much. Well, you beat 72 beats per minute, all right? You only have 5 quarts of blood, right? A quart is 32 ounces. So you have 160 ounces of blood in your body, about, give or take, depending upon size, right? So once you get the first rib maneuver and you're pumping 1 ounce more blood per beat, and you have 72 beats per minute, it means every 2.25, 2.5 minutes, your entire blood volume is circulating one extra time, and you're even breathing a whole bunch better. All right, so you get more oxygen. It's a whole story. Okay. Anyway, so once you treat somebody, their body becomes more stable. And Cindy can testify to how she's much more stable than she's been. All right. Now, remember, this thing goes forward and you twist to compensate. Once you become more stable, you don't have to compensate as hard. So what happens is these things start to go back into position. But they can't go to their proper position because what? You don't have any bones pulling in the direction needed to fix them. So as they untwist, they go toward the injury position. And so people are always saying, I feel this thing. I haven't felt it in 10 years or 5 years or, 15 years or last year, whatever it is. And it's like, yes, that injury is coming out and you have similar feelings, but you notice you don't have the disability you had then. And people are like, yeah. And then that goes out. And once this thing becomes loose enough, you can actually get it back in place. And when you get it back in place, you don't feel this big relief or anything else like that. What happens is you stand there and it feels like somebody put a stick up your butt and you're like, what am I doing up here? You just feel unusually straight. And after an hour or two, you get used to being that way and it just disappears. Right? And a lot of people complain, I want to feel good after I get treated. But that's the wrong goal. All right? If your body works exactly right, what are you going to notice? Nothing.
Nothing.
It's like your car,
Take it for granted.
right? You go and drive your car. If you're noticing your car, it's because something's wrong.
Yeah.
Otherwise, in your car, the only thing you notice is the radio on a good station? Is it too hot or cold?
Mhm.
If you're noticing something besides that, something's wrong with your car. Well, same thing with your body. All right? You should be able to do everything in life and not have to notice your body. Now, if you're playing with another partner or something like that and you don't notice your body, well, you buy them a book, but that's a different category of noticing your body. All right? And I don't, people think I'm making a joke or it's vulgar or something. I'm not. I'm trying to, there's things you do to feel good. Some people to feel bad, whatever you want to do. Okay? And there's just having your body work so well that you don't notice it unless you do. If it's a hot day and you take a cold shower, if you don't feel good, either the water's too cold or something's wrong otherwise. Right? Same type of thing. All right? And that's about it. All right? You got all the pieces. You got bones out of place that the body can't self-correct. You got bones out of place that the body can self-correct but doesn't because they're part of the compensation pattern. And you got meningeal adhesions that keep the body locked in a position. And as soon as those come apart, the body moves. Now, the problems come in because of the way that's twisted. You can't always get to everything. And so it takes time for the body to unwind and all that stuff. And when your body is unwinding in the forward position where you're going towards an injury position, you're not going to feel great. Right? When the body's going in the backward direction, okay, you're not going to notice your body. You don't feel good. You don't feel bad. You just whoosh, and you don't notice your body. And people are always saying, oh, that's going to be great when I don't notice my body. And the answer is, it will be, but you won't notice it. And they go, huh? I go, if you don't notice your body, you don't notice it. And, people come into me, and for 2 weeks, how's your body? They walk in, I say, how's your body? And they say, I don't really notice. And then the third week they come in, I say, how's the body? And they say, oh, it's been bothering me for weeks. And I go, wait a second, and I look at my chart and I'm like, the last 2 weeks you said you didn't notice anything. And they're like, oh, no, this has been going on for months. And they don't realize that when they didn't notice anything, they didn't notice it. Now that they notice it, they think it's always been there. I can't tell you how many people come in, Doc, this thing's been bothering me, my neck. When's it going to go away? It's been bothering me since I came here. And I get out their chart and I go, who wrote this? Is that your writing? Yeah. What does it say? It says low back pain. They came in for low back pain. Now they don't have any low back pain, but because of the way their body's unwinding, their neck is tight and bothering them. And they think this has been there since they came in 3-4 months ago. And that's
So are you
happened.
saying,
Yeah.
are you saying that, you never have people who come in and say, something must be wrong. I'm not feeling anything in my body,
Actually,
maybe.
we have people that have that problem. Right? Now, this is not ABC and it goes beyond everything else, but you're not your body. You're the thing that runs it, the spirit or the soul or whatever you want to call yourself. All right? And your body's a different thing. Okay? And there's a lot of people who, when they stop noticing their body, they do things to mess themselves up so that they notice their body. And these people are a heck of a problem for ABC practitioners because they're always doing something to mess themselves up. I got this one guy, I treat him, how's the body? And he goes like this and he twists like crazy. And he says, yeah, when I do this, I said, anybody who does that bothers him. Not only that, it makes you worse. And now I got to treat you again. And this is not real to him. It's
Jesse,
not real
I guess
to him that-
I'm going to say thank you because I am suffering from major jet lag and I don't want to be rude and leave early because I thank you so much. I found this so informative. I took my notes and it was really kind of you to.
Mindy, he's going to send us a video of this.
Yeah,
a copy of this video.
Yeah, so I won't miss out. But I'm just saying thank you because it's 1 a.m. for me. But I've enjoyed learning and listening, and thank you. And thank you, Cindy, for bringing Jesse in. And
All right. Well, frankly, unless somebody has questions, I really don't have too much more to add.
I have questions.
Okay.
Bye, Mindy.
Good night. And thank
Bye bye.
night.
Nice meeting you, Mindy.
Bye, Mindy.
Love to meet you, and thank you all.
All right.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
for coming.
Heather, can I just finish
Sure.
up on that
Absolutely,
with the
go.
pain? Okay. That I think for many of us, and I know I certainly have been one of these, that if there's a day or a period of time that we don't feel any pain, that is so rare for us that the first instinct oftentimes is something's wrong.
I understand.
So that was that, but the answer that you gave really was not addressing that. It was addressing it the other way around.
Well, the truth is, my experience is, and Cindy can tell you if she's been through this, my experience is when people don't notice their body, they don't notice their body. They don't notice something's wrong. They don't notice something's right. They just don't notice their body. And as much
I
as
used
you
to
say,
feel before that's
What?
how I used to feel. I didn't notice my body because I didn't have the scoliosis wasn't to a point where it was bothering me.
yeah, but see now, do you have periods where you don't notice your body?
When I'm sleeping.
Yeah, well, there's as you get treated, you're going to have hours to days where you don't notice your body, and you come in and Pierre says to you, "How's the body doing?" And you go, and if the person walks in and I go, "How's your body?" and the person says, I'm thrilled because that
I look
means they have
forward
to
to
think
that.
about it.
I look forward to that.
Well, I'll bet you it's actually already happened.
Oh, maybe so.
All right. Now, if
And
you
Heather,
don't
you had a
happen to go
question you
into
were asking?
Pierre's, hang on for 1 second. If you don't happen to go into Pierre's office when it's happening, then you don't say right? I'm sorry. What were you going to say, Arlene?
No, I was just saying Heather is she gave me the opportunity to be able to come back with a question to you. So
Thank you,
didn't
Arlene.
want
You're
her
so
to miss
sweet.
out.
I've been told my ligaments are so stretched that they no longer do their job. What?
Hang on. Is your foot dirty and smelly?
Not currently, no, but it happens.
Well, because somebody shoveled a bunch of HS on your foot. All right. There's all these ligament things. I mean, these guys.
They have me very scared to even move.
Yeah, it's a bunch of baloney. You get treated this way, your body will pop up and everything will be fine. All right. It's go to my website and watch the first 15 minutes of the how and why video, and you'll understand why all this. See, if your body's twisted out of place because there's bones out of place that your body can't self-correct, they have to come up with an excuse for what's wrong.
Is this the ABC Miracles website?
abcmiracles.com.
Okay.
And down on the first page, if you page down, there's a video on how and why ABC works. And the video is about an hour and a half long, but the first 15 minutes covers the basic thing. And then after that, it goes into all the other stuff.
Oh, I'll definitely watch that.
All right. It's
Well,
like there's a section there
we would
on whiplash. All right. So, you know how they put headrests in cars?
Yes.
Put headrests in cars to eliminate whiplash, but it doesn't. People still have it. And the reason they have it is the seat hits the middle of your back that's supposed to be curved backward. And somebody hits you from behind, the seat hits this and flattens that out, and you collapse forward. Now, in the standing position, if you take x-rays, or in the laying position, you often curve forward because it's collapsed, and they don't recognize that that's been collapsed. But if you have a sitting x-ray, boom, you fall forward like this, and it's flat, and it's easy to see. And it shows you that on, there's sitting and standing x-rays on that, in that part of the video. I think it's about 30 or 40 minutes into the video.
What were you going to say, Francie?
sorry, this is great. But the struggle we're having is to find somebody near us that can do this. How do we get treated?
Frankly, sorry, that's not my problem. And I reckon, where are you located?
Well, right now I'm in St. Augustine, Florida, but I'm just here for the winter, and then I'm in Philadelphia.
Well, Philadelphia, you got people not too far away, and St. Augustine, you have to drive across the state to get somebody.
Okay. Well, how many minimal? Like Cindy goes twice a week. And I can drive up to Cindy and maybe get one treatment a month.
Well, from where?
Because
you mean when you're in Philly?
From Philly.
Oh, you don't have to. There's people much closer to Philly. If you go on abcmiracles.com, there's a practitioner locator on there.
Okay.
Yeah, we're spread out all over the place. I'm in Houston, Texas.
Houston, there's actually a guy who just called from Houston. He's a chiropractor who's all of a sudden interested in learning this.
What's his name?
I actually don't know. I spoke with him on the phone. Oh, Dwayne Davis. Okay. Actually, if you call Dwayne Davis and say, Dwayne, are you doing ABC yet? Okay. And if he says no, say, buy the course. I'll come to you. And if nothing else, you get your money back from me over the next year or so. Okay. All right. Where are you located, Heather?
I'm in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. It's in the Lehigh Valley, below the Poconos.
There's a bunch of people not terribly far away from you either.
Good.
We actually have a lot of Amish practitioners.
Oh, in Harrisburg, Reading,
Kutztown. A little bit more east, Lancaster and that area.
Lancaster, Kutztown.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 40 minutes.
Like I said, anybody can learn how to do this in about 2 weeks as long as you're willing to push around bodies. And we have tons of people who get together with a friend and they buy the online course and they treat each other, and they do a good enough job that they're amazingly better. All right.
Wow. Jesse, do you think that the video that we made of my, session with you and Pierre would be good for people to see? Useful?
No, it'll scare the daylights out of people.
Well, I was worried about that.
because
No,
they
but
don't understand.
we know there's pain and good and bad. I mean,
No. Well, Cindy, hang on? Did you hurt during that session at all?
And I usually do, but you stopped Pierre from the way he was doing the meningeal release, and he did it differently, and then it didn't hurt.
Yeah, if you do it, if it's done properly, it doesn't hurt at all. And people have trouble believing that because it looks like such an extreme maneuver. But my people never complain about pain. They complain about, oh my God, I thought you just killed me. And I said, well, did it hurt? And they go, I said, did it seem like it should hurt? Yeah, but did it hurt? No.
Right. It's scary because it moves so fast. And it moves in a way that you would normally protect yourself from moving.
Yep. And the difference between when I do it and everybody else does it, or almost everybody else, is I do it so fast you don't have time to know what's going on.
You have a video of you doing it?
I have several, but they're part of the course. Oh. So no, I won't give them to you. Because they're teaching videos. And, there's a million videos. There's a guy, Patrick Bain, Bain, in Arizona. He's got many videos up on YouTube of him doing ABC. All right. And I've got ABC practitioners who say he's not doing it right. And it's close enough. Right. Patrick
I was just going to ask you that, though.
What?
I was just going to ask you, Jesse, because you were saying that you had you and Pierre were with Cindy, and she said that it does often hurt, but that this time it didn't. How do you deal with practitioners of this, that because you said if they're not doing it right, it will hurt?
I beat the living daylights out of them with my tongue as hard as I can.
Yes, you do.
And sometimes I actually had a practitioner at a seminar. We just did a seminar in Sarasota, and the guy did something that was so harmful to people that I actually smacked him. I did, and he had a big complaint that I was abusing him and everything else. And I said, if you think I'm abusing you, you should see what you're doing to these people doing this. All right? I'd rather you didn't say you were doing ABC if you did it. But, it's a skill thing, and frankly, chiropractors are harder to teach than most. Pierre's actually rather good compared to most chiropractors doing this.
And he listens to you.
Yep. But Pierre's actually rather good.
But on the abcmiracles.com, you said that there are practitioners listed. Are they
only certified practitioners?
They're certified.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're certified by me and my instructors to know what they're doing.
Okay.
It looks. I don't see them. It looks like they changed the name of the website to meningeal release.
Yeah, the ABC Miracles goes to meningealrelease.com.
He did say that.
I don't see a list of practitioners here. On
the upper, if you're on a computer, the upper right-hand corner, I think it says practitioner locator.
Oh, find a provider. Okay. This website is from 2016.
Yep. You want to spend money on a website? Go ahead. I'm done. Frankly, as far as I'm concerned, my original website from 2002 is fine. And if people don't like it,
well, it's just
not my problem.
It's just about finding a practitioner.
Oh, they might not be functioning working anymore. Is that what you mean, Francie?
Or updated, there might be new ones.
Oh, no, we update the list. We update.
Oh, you do? You update it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you for your time. I'm completely interested in going to the website for sure.
Yep. Well, go to the website with a friend.
With my husband.
All right, with your husband. Learn the first rib maneuver. Have them take a front view picture of you and a side view picture of you, and have them do the first rib maneuver. There's a 20-minute video that teaches you how to do it. All right? Have them do the first rib maneuver on you, and you'll notice your body immediately pops up some, and your shoulders don't slump forward. And then you'll have the idea, oh, maybe this guy really knows what he's talking about.
I'm less of a skeptic than you think.
Yep. Well, see, I'm not.
I have to be open.
I've been told so many things. I am super skeptical, but the things I'm telling you work out physically.
Okay.
See, I believe anything anybody tells me until after I test it, and then
Yeah, we're all
believe
there
I know.
too.
Yeah.
I
But
guess I would just like it's because it's bothering me, and I just wrote down, and I'll go and look at that. But in my experience over the last 3 years, supposedly as of last April, my spine has derotated. But the thing is, when I look at the earlier X-rays and I look at the present X-rays, my posture has changed tremendously. I've straightened up.
it happens. You got lucky. What can I tell you? People, if people didn't get lucky and all this stuff, they'd all be dead. All right. I mean, you look at a football game. All right. I don't know if you watch football at all.
Blows my mind every weekend.
But you see these gigantic impacts.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And sometimes they have trouble getting up. And other times they get up and they shake themselves and they go, oh, that was great. Well, if you get hit at just the right angle, it fixes things.
My son-in-law did that when he was lifting me up into one of those big, I don't know, Wonderland, Alice in Wonderland chairs. And he's 6'4", I'm 5'1", but he put me around, his arms around me like this, and went to lift me up onto the chair, and it crunched me
Yeah, that'll
right.
straighten out a bunch of things.
It was an excruciating shot of pain, and he put me right down. And I've told my friends here, I mean, I can't believe it. I believe what happened was that, as you were talking about with the, meningeal, and that it broke something free.
Well,
because I've been getting better ever since.
As part of my seminar, I show people, there's a guy I treated for 2.5 years, and then on and off for a year or two. And there was always this curve at his upper part of his back. And I push on it like crazy. I'm jumping on this guy. I'm doing everything I can. And I can't get these meningeal adhesions to let go. All right? And the guy's very active. He used to be a ski bum when he was younger. And he was riding on a mountain bike. And the bike hit a log. And he went flying. So he probably hit the ground, knowing this guy, he probably hit the ground at about 25 miles an hour, maybe more. Okay? And his head went up and back like this. He almost poked out his eye. He had a big gouge in the side of his head and all this stuff. He walked into my office and told me about this and said, I think I need to get treated. Here's what happened. And I'm just looking at him like this. And after he got done telling me everything, I said, do you notice you actually feel better? He goes, it's weird. After the accident, everybody was all worried. And I was like, feels kind of good. And
I showed him 2 accidents like that.
I showed him the pictures over a couple of years where he had this big curve like this.
Kyphosis.
Here, and now it's gone.
Wow. That's what my son has.
That's what it took to pull apart his meningeals.
Holy cow.
People are worried about me pushing too hard. I can't push hard enough. Wow. All right? But if your son's curved over like that, bring it to somebody who does ABC and right. What you want to do is you want to find out when there's a seminar near you, and you call us up. I don't teach all the seminars, other people do, but you call up the instructor and say, I would like you to work on my body as a volunteer so people can do things. And they will give you so much treatment that it'll take your body a month to catch up. But you'll be so much better you would not believe it. All right? They will get everything possible to be done. Now, how you're going to feel after that depends on where you are in the unwinding process, but you'll be straighter and all this other stuff. It'll be amazing. All right. Anything else?
Oh,
I think
no,
we should
thank
let
you.
go.
All right.
Thank you.
My pleasure, ladies.
You've been
And,
great. Thank you.
Thank
Awesome.
All
you
right.
so much.
Yep. I will send Cindy and Francine. I have your email addresses, so I will send you it'll probably be a Google Drive link. I will send you a copy of the video of this.
Oh,
And
thank
as
you.
far as I'm concerned, you can distribute it as widely as you want. You can put it up on the internet, whatever you want.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dr. Jesse.
All right.
Bye. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.